The Denver Nuggets, they go on the road. They get the win over the Celtics, 102-100. 69 of their 102 points, Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic combined to score. Really, I mean, it feels like we need to just see the last couple of possessions of this game. It came down to it.
But that's it. When you can do that, you don't need to go 2 for 17 from 3 if you're Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Don't settle for the perimeter. You should be shooting shots like this, even though that was a very bad miss.
That's a very bad miss, but that's the shot that you want. But here, Jason Tatum going 1-on-3 with 20 seconds to go. You got to make better decisions than that. And I'm not going to be critical of him. He had a solid game, but 1-on-3 in that moment.
And credit the Nuggets defense. They deflected it. That's why he was off his game towards the end with the layup.
So after a timeout and then a second timeout, Jason Tatum, fadeaway jumper.
And that's the shot you get.
Can't quite get it to go there over KCP. The Denver Nuggets escape with the win. I don't know about you, Richard, but sign me up for 7 games of this in the NBA Finals immediately.
Oh, 100%. And that's what we were talking about. This was kind of that heavyweight match that you were talking about. Denver did not play great in the first half, right? Guys did not shoot the ball well. Michael Porter Jr. didn't. KCP didn't. Different guys didn't show up. But in the second half, they picked it up. Second half, they picked it up. And look, they answered that call.
Yeah, normally, you know, when we watch games, we have a cute room in the back where we go there. There's food and stuff sometimes when our bosses are nice. Thank you so much. But we were glued to our seats. We were really glued to our seats. And I love this game. I love this matchup. And most importantly, what I learned is that the Denver Nuggets are able to up their game when it matters most. We talk a lot about the Boston Celtics and their defense. They have the #2 defense in the NBA. But down the stretch, it was the Denver Nuggets that made the defensive plays, whether it is deflections, whether it is Nikola Jokic moving them feet. What do you call them, Perk? Moving them puppies.
Sliding them
to get
puppies.
like switching out on three-point shooters and on the three-point line. Like, look at this right here. He's hustling. Porzingis has the ball. Now he's switching. He's guarding Drew Holiday, which normally is like, what? On an island. Instead, he's able to force them to call a timeout. That's how they won the game, not the offense and defense down the stretch.
So, Kendrick Perkins, before this game, you were questioning something that became very important and key in this one. I just want to show everybody what that was.
Oh, here we go.
I like Michael Malone in this matchup tonight. He's going to have these guys prepared. I also love Jokic. It's not one player on that team that's going to be able to stop him. And no disrespect to Kristaps Porzingis and Big Al Horford. But tonight, after going against Embiid last game and Embiid kind of giving him that work, Jokic is going to go out there and remind the world who he is and why he was the Finals MVP. And Denver is going to get that win tonight in the Garden.
34 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists for Nikola Jokic.
Well, we know what Jokic was going to do. You know what I'm saying? He was going to handle his business. Now, Joe Mazzulla, on the other hand, but look, take a couple clips at Jokic real quick. Just straight tomato chest. If y'all want to play me 1-on-1, I got turnarounds over both shoulders. I'm going to give you this work. They giving up. Look, RJ, that's 9 dribbles. Look,
if you come in, he's going to
But
kill
whatever,
you.
though, it's beautiful basketball for me. But here's the thing. Joe Mazzulla, this is why I picked Michael Malone. They have 2 Joe Mazzullas. They have the one that got the philosophy of we're going to get up more threes than you. And, you know, when they do and they hit him, he looks great. And then you have the other Joe Mazzulla who just stands over there and you wonder, like, if you take his brain out and you put it in the bird is going to start flying backwards, okay? You got that Joe Mazzulla. You know why I say that?
No.
Because he doesn't get these guys easy looks.
Okay.
Time and time again, we kept saying, attack the paint. Like, you have so many guys that are great at cutting. Like, they cannot continue to play AAU-style basketball all the time. You got to have sets. The Denver Nuggets have sets. We know at times, yes, a 2-man game is going to happen with Jokic and Murray, but it might lead to a back cut for Aaron Gordon out the corner. Like, you got to have those things. And when I say the coaching matchup, and this is when you get into the postseason, that matters.
But at some point in time, you have to look at it. You're 2 for 17 from 3 if you're Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. These dudes are 6'9", 6'8", 40-inch verts, all of the length, all of the size. You know how many free throw attempts they had? 5. You had 5 free throw attempts, and you were 2 for 17 from 3. I'm sorry. At some point in time, when you saw that with 1 minute to go, he drives by Aaron Gordon, who is a physical specimen. I'm going to drive by him, go get a two-hand dunk. Don't tell me you could have done that 3-4 more times, gotten 2 more buckets, 2 more free throws, maybe a collapse and a wide open shot for your teammate. But 2 for 17 from 3, you have to have a better feel for the game. You got to have a better feel for it.
I know, but Malika and Chiney, isn't that on the coach to sometimes call a timeout and put the ownership and put your players in position?
Yeah, but players.
I mean, no, I think it's a philosophy. It's a philosophy, Perk, and you're right. This is something we've seen from the Celtics over the course of the entire year. Now, yes, they make the most threes, I believe, in the NBA, but they also take around the most threes in the NBA. And sometimes you fall too in love with that three, with the analytics, with the idea that, hey, if we shoot this many, we're going to win. Like, it's a make or miss league, and unfortunately, the margin for error with other teams is so much smaller because other teams are getting better offensively. You think about the Pacers in the East and how they've improved. Like, everyone's upping their game, and so if you just take this three-point shot and say, like, if we shoot more than this, you're actually doing a disservice to your players. Well, because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, as you mentioned, Richard, they're great physical guys that can score in the mid-range. Even though the analytics won't tell you that works, that is actually their strength, getting downhill. We talked about it last year, how Jason Tatum improved getting to the rim. When you remove that, you remove the aggression, and now they're sort of playing in crunch time on their heels.
Yeah, when I look at this, they were undefeated at home. They just lost the defending champions. I'm not going to sit up here and raise any alarms. I'm not going to be hypercritical to their team or their players. But if I sit back and I'm in the locker room as a player and I look at it, I'm like, man, we only got 5 free throws. We could have probably driven a couple more times. Because you know what Denver doesn't have? A shot blocker. They don't have a Porzingis. They don't have a guy in there that's blocking shots. So you're looking at this as like, we can't attack their paint. Yeah. And sometimes those threes come from the second side, where I'm going to drive, I'm going to get a kick. Now I'm in that paint. And now you get a good open look for your teammates. So I'm not going to jump up here and be like all critical on the Celtics. But in this particular game, they shot too many threes and didn't attack the paint against the Denver Nuggets that are vulnerable.
And it's not just you, Richard. We were sitting here on NBA Countdown earlier tonight, and Adrian Wojnarowski was mentioning that the general managers of these two teams know what this game is. Even though it's one game in the regular season, it's one that they are watching to see what adjustments they need to make potentially to their rosters, to their mentality, to the skills that they're putting out. Because there is a very good chance that they are on a crash course to a collision in the finals.
And Malika, that's a great point. But guess who else is watching? The other general managers around the league. And guess who else is watching? The other head coaches around the league. Okay, so you don't think that, Philly has scouts in the game to say, oh, let's watch the Celtics against Jokic and Murray. Let's see how we could utilize Embiid and Maxey. Like, you got to realize these things are happening around the game. And that's what I said. When you got to make adjustments, and I don't want to overreact, but damn it, the champs came to the crib. You know what I'm saying? You undefeated at the house. This is your measuring stick. And this is why, yes, I still got the Celtics as the favorite to represent the Eastern Conference, but that's why I be telling people it's not night and day. Like, it's not that much separation between them and the rest of the Eastern Conference.
We're going to head to break in just a second, but before we do, Chiney, coming into this game, it felt like the Denver Nuggets, there were still some things that we were wondering. We used the term championship hangover. I don't want to overreact to one game either, but are you feeling better or worse about the gap in talent after watching this?
Oh, I'm feeling better about the Denver Nuggets, and I credit you, Perk, because, Perk, you were talking about how they need to make sure that they show up and get a signature win. Well, they did exactly that tonight. And one thing I like is this is a team that doesn't really exert themselves too much. They play within the flow of basketball, but the little things, the intangibles that I like, Michael Porter Jr. going in there and getting an offensive rebound. Aaron Gordon going in there and getting an offensive rebound. They're not settling for offense just because you've got the all-worldly passing of Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. They're doing the little things that are championship-esque. So you look at the duo right there combining for, 69 points. That's Stanford education right there.
Nice.
Oh, gosh. Here we go.
I'm saying nice to your Stanford education.
That's what you said, nice. But what I'm saying is that the other players, their numbers may not scream, but they made those key plays that amounted in a win.
Those numbers scream.
I'm over you.
But listen, really, we credit Jokic, and rightfully so. But how great of a player is Jamal Murray?
Yes.
Put him in the All-Star game.
He's going against a backcourt in Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, all great wing defenders, and stomped them out.
All
He didn't
flat.
cook them. He stomped them out.
Hibachi style.
We'll see what type of style
Go get him,
Anthony
Jamal.
Davis
With a
and
side of
Los
clam
Angeles Lakers are
chowder.
bringing into
30.
Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Them James Harden where I pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA on the ESPN.